Good evening. We'd like to welcome everyone this evening to Mapleton City Council meeting on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. We'll begin with an invocation by Councilman Carlson and led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Beck.
Our Father in heaven, as we come before Thee at this time, we are grateful and thankful for the blessings that we enjoy, for the privilege it is to live in Mapleton, and for the wonderful people that live here. We, as the council, ask as we talk about and discern and discuss those items that pertain to the city that we might be guided to do what is right and best for all concerned. We also pray for those in need in our city and in the community, that Thy blessings might be with them. We also express gratitude and appreciation for the privilege to live in America and for the ideals and freedom that it stands for. These things we ask in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will begin with our public forum. We have 3 individuals that signed up: Mackenzie McDaniel, Seth Townsend, and Catherine Carter. If you'd like to come forward in that order, that'd be great.
So I sent an email to y'all, so hopefully you saw it, I think yesterday. I'm just coming to ask that you amend the city code. What we have heard regarding...
Hold on, Mackenzie. Is that mic on? Because I don't hear it through the... Is there a light on the bottom of that? Can you know? Tried? Oh, it sounds like it's on.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
We've had some flooding issues in Mapleton Village, and we understand according to Utah law that water is pretty much your responsibility to drain. That does not change the fact that there is reasonable use doctrine and false advertising going on by builders. Salisbury knows that we cannot afford an attorney to go fight them on these things, so they take advantage of it. As you drive into our neighborhood, you'll see drainage ditches. When we chose to buy our land in Mapleton Village, we knew it had a high water table, and we thought, cool, there's a builder, he's got drainage ditches, the water will go north to south, so we'll build the house on the north end of the street, the water will flow south. 2 of the neighbors on the north end of the street flooded on Sunday, and the drainage ditch is bone dry. When the city inspector has come out to see us twice, he said, it's fine, it's up to code, and left it at that. The city code needs to be amended so that builders must build homes to drain to the drainage ditches they built. From what I have seen, all we've got is drainage ditches for show to make people feel comfortable building homes in neighborhoods that within the year will now flood. You've also got a problem with reasonable use doctrine. Private property rights do not give you the right to dig holes on your land and dump dirt there that will drain the water onto your neighbor's land. Salisbury has repeatedly done this. Again, they know we can't afford an attorney, they're taking advantage of that. Every time Salisbury digs a hole, dumps dirt on their land, someone else floods. As soon as they sell a house, they dig dirt next to it and flood the houses that are not theirs. Owning property does not give you the right to flood your neighbor's property. You do have to drain your own property, but you can't drain it onto someone else's land. So we would ask that in the future, building permits come with the stipulation that builders must show where the water is going to go. Because right now, the water's going onto the previously sold homes, and they don't care.
All right. Seth?
Hi, Council. Seth Townsend, my wife just showed up. She's hoping to also make a public comment if we can add her.
We'd rather hear from her, Seth.
What's that? You'd rather hear from her? Yeah, I can just sit down now if that's better. We live in Mapleton Heights, so right next to Mapleton Village, and I live at 3409 South Pinion Park Lane. We have 2 detention basins in Mapleton Heights. maybe there's more to be planned in the future, but we have 2 existing right now. There's a north one and a south one. We abut the south detention basin, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. That detention basin, since we moved in about a year ago, has been almost perpetually just full of water. It's not draining at all. Maybe you've seen it as you drive by on the highway. It's getting to the point where there's been standing water in there for so long that there's like algae growing in it, and like frogs and ducks live there, and we're getting mosquitoes and bugs accumulating around our home. And we have a few members of our neighborhood here, because this has been a discussion on the HOA discussion board. We brought this forward to our HOA, and I don't have the response. My wife might have it, but basically the response was, it was built as designed and approved, and I'm not sure what the design process was or where the disconnect was, but it's clearly not fulfilling its intended purpose. And like further evidence of that is that the north detention basin is, for the most part, draining. If you drive by it now, like from the rainfall a few days ago, like there's a little bit of water there, but for the most part it's drained. But the south one is just full
How much water's in it?
right now.
A foot or 6 inches or 2 feet?
It's probably 2 or
Like more or less?
3 feet. I
Couple
mean,
feet.
there have been a couple times where we've seen, like, teenagers will go play out there, and we've seen them get in the water, and there's been a couple times where it's up to their waist. And that's another concern we have, and you can see my 2 little ones there. We have 2 little kids, and, my daughter asked if she can go swim in the basin. And so it's just a major safety concern as well, that we just have this pond perpetually. And we understand that, like, storm drain purposes, it is meant to catch some water, but we just, we would expect it, after a couple days that it would kind of disperse. And it's been full of water almost entirely since we moved in.
Did the HOA meet with someone from the city out there to look at it?
I'm not aware of that happening.
I guess
but
your wife has the answer to that. We'll
my
get
wife,
that answer.
yeah. I can just sit down now.
Thanks, Seth. He tried hard, Thanks, Seth.
Wanted to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, for sure.
I also live at 3409 South Pinion Park Lane. My name is MJ Townsend. I can maybe just to fill in a couple of gaps from what was just said. Our neighborhood has compiled a Google Drive folder. There's various members of our community that have been taking pictures all along the way of what the basin looks like. And so in some areas it is up to 4 feet deep, especially after a rain event. And this is a concern of ours for safety reasons, especially with our small children in the neighborhood. Also, I know mosquitoes have been mentioned. That is a major problem, and we feel a lot of that because we're right there, but as we know, mosquitoes like to breed, and we are creating a wetland for them. From a legal standpoint, I'm also concerned about Clean Water Act issues that we can run into with this, just because it does look more and more like a wetland. We have waterfowl, we have a lot of riparian animals, we have, the aquatic plants as well to kind of point us in that direction. And I worry that the state may get involved with discharge permits and running into the Clean Water Act and stuff. As far as the correspondence has gone with our HOA, the HOA is the one that owns and manages both detention basins in Mapleton Heights. I've been in talks with them and trying to facilitate just an understanding of what it was designed to do and whether it is operating correctly. The response that I've received has been kind of few and far between, and that's why we're here. We understand that the city has a little bit more enforcement power than we do as homeowners, at least at this stage in our homeowner association-ship. The developer owns has the majority of seats with our HOA right now. And so while we've been trying to facilitate that conversation with them, I have asked for their permits, especially in accordance with Mapleton City Code. There needs to be a stormwater management plan. I've asked to see the plan, which I know was approved by the city. We just want to make sure that things are being maintained and operating as they are meant to be. And beyond that, if there's any questions about it, I'm happy to, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on that issue. But again, there are a handful of members of our community here, and this has been a lively discussion with all of us for safety reasons, but especially for community blight reasons as well.
For sure. So do you know if the HOA's met with someone from the city to review, to come out and see it and do a review of it, or do you not know that? Or have they? Or do you know if they have?
I don't think that they have.
Okay.
So I've talked with a couple members of the city in Public Works as well as just in
Yeah, you talked
the
with me
administration. Okay. And so I know that we've been in communication about that. I actually had a member of Mountainville Development knock on my door on Monday and talk with me, and he asked if I would be, amenable to having a on-site meeting between him and our HOA representative and then me, and I'm more than happy to do that. And when I've provided various times, but I haven't heard back of when we can have that meeting, if it would be helpful, to have a city member there, I think that it would.
I think what we want to do is go out and review it and make sure, obviously it needs to be reviewed. At some point in the process, they get reviewed from an inspector perspective and should be passed off that they're built correctly. But we just need to get somebody out there to make sure that that's happened and review it and figure out what a solution is.
Okay.
So that's what I recommend. So Rob, our city engineer who's not here tonight, we'll get with him and get that set up. Who's the best people to communicate with?
Probably me.
Okay.
And I'm happy to give my contact information.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Do you have a representative from your HOA that is engaged? Is it a management company or a homeowner-run HOA?
So right now it's a management company. It's called Vision Management. We've been trying to get in touch with Jeremiah, who I
Who
understand.
lives here in Mapleton?
I'm not sure. I have not had a contact with him before.
We can get a hold of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it was Richard, I don't know his last name, but he works with, I know he's a cousin or something of the Bogguses that, with Mountainville. He was the one that I talked with on Monday and seemed very, earnest in his efforts to come to a solution. And
So Richard's
maybe-
representing the Bogguses right now?
I'm unsure of the relationship exactly, but he said that he was the on-site manager for their ongoing construction.
So he might show up as a representative in this case to have a meeting and to figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he explained to me as well that he was the one that built it, that according to the design, he built it, and so he has a good grasp on the mechanics of it, I
Great.
guess.
Yeah, I think we should get that done right away.
I'll send you his number, Corey, or,
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Send
Just so
Corey
you
and he
send
can get to
me
Rob.
or Jeremiah, then that'll be at least a place to start to get an engagement from the management company.
Absolutely. And if,
I'll contact you tomorrow. We can kind of make sure you've got my phone number and information.
that sounds great. And if I can be of any help in any way, I am more than happy to do that.
Yeah, you'll get a call,
Okay,
for sure.
thank you.
If you don't, then feel free to reach
Then
back
I'll
out.
call
but
you?
You'll get a, yes. You
Perfect.
should get a call.
Okay, thank you very much.
Beth knows how to
Council.
get hold of me.
There we go.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Catherine? I don't need to, she covered everything. She got it all? She was pretty thorough. I was impressed.
Can I ask, it sounds like we're taking some steps with the basin, but as far as with Salisbury, what kind of enforcement or review?
Recourse, yeah.
Recourse can we do at this point as well? Because I've been to their neighborhood and, one of the homes, or one of the properties that was solved, they had to bring 30 truckloads of dirt basically to solve the issue, but
Flooded our property.
yeah, that just created issues for everyone else.
Until they dumped 33 truckloads of dirt on our neighbor's land. So they dumped it on us.
And this is after flooding came into one of her neighbors and broke their basement windows basically because of so much water, so.
So Corey, inside of a subdivision on the lots themselves, the city doesn't have, well, Mackenzie mentioned working on the code, which we need to have Sean dig that up and see what specifics are in the code and see if there's anything that can be done there, which I agree with. And then on top of that, if there's drainage, I mean, I've been involved in these, especially last year with the flooding on half a dozen properties. It's the homeowners themselves that have to maintain their own water on their own land, is what I understand. And they shouldn't be able to drain onto someone else's property and flood their house, so they've got to figure out how to maintain that, however that's done. Obviously, in a subdivision, it gets tricky with, maybe smaller lots and the homes, there's not a lot of place for the water to go. So that's probably more of a civil thing inside the subdivision, I would assume. But I think we should for sure review the code, see what's required at final inspection. I know we've got some grade stuff that come from the foundation out. I'm sure you're aware of them, Mike, whatever they are. But we could pull that out, review it, make sure there's nothing there that needs to be added or fixed. And then inside the subdivision, I mean, the developer or builder with the homeowner are the ones that got to figure out the drainage, I think. I mean, we can go to Sean and make sure that that's the case, but I would assume that's the case.
I know when I built my exterior garage, I had to do my driveway in pads such that didn't go onto the neighbor's property.
Yeah.
Took a little effort to do that, but I did it, and I know that it was discussed at that time, so hopefully that's still in effect.
We know water must be retained on your property. The question is, what teeth do we have in this circumstance? And I'm very interested in seeing that, especially before the developer completes the development and leaves. So I'm very interested in whatever we can do there, even if there's anything appropriate the city has teeth in.
Who here is from the same issue that Mackenzie spoke to? You're representing?
They're doing dinners and bedtimes.
That's fine. So
Yeah.
we could just communicate back.
That's not the
Well-
issue we came for, but we also have that problem.
Okay, gotcha. So we'll get together with Sean, we'll discuss it, see what those are, like Jessica's saying, and then we'll communicate that back.
Yeah, one thing, question for Mackenzie. Within that area, how many of those homes percentage-wise, just an approximate guess, are not landscaped yet?
Most of them are not, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, as people are landscaped, we were the first to landscape,
Mhm.
because we saw the problem, so we put a French drain in our land. But we landscaped right after they dumped 33 truckloads of dirt on our neighbor's lot and caused a lake on our lot.
Mhm.
So we just landscaped it because it's cheaper than hiring a lawyer. As people are landscaping, we're seeing more and more water on other people's.
Adjacent, yeah.
Okay.
They're grading the houses individually, and according to city code, this is what we've gotten, because we've talked to the city inspector. The houses are graded appropriately for an individual home. But because Salisbury
Yeah,
is
I
building
just want to be
them
done.
as the lots sell, wherever the lots sell, they're just building the next home higher than the first,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
middle of the street or at the end of the street, and they're causing lakes. Instead of grading them north to south, where our street should have been, and then you would have gone to the retention ditch at the south end.
Sounds good. Can you come up to the mic? Sorry, Mackenzie, I got yours. Hold on. Let me have him come. He wanted to add something to what you said. Sorry, Camille's going to kill me if I don't get you guys up here. She's trying to.
Neighbor of MJ, and just to answer to that question.
Into the mic.
Oh,
Sorry, yeah, you go. Camille has to capture it
Oh,
all,
thank
so
you.
it's, yeah.
To answer your question, you asked like what percentage or how many of them are landscaped. I communicated with the city engineer last year about the same concern, that the grading, because I mean, every time we get rain, we flood, and I have to try and pump out water or do whatever I can with it. The engineer said that once everyone's yard's in, that it should be okay. And then I communicated with him just maybe 2 months ago, and everyone in my area has landscaped their yards, but it continue to have the same problem, so.
And when you say flood, is it in your basement?
Oh, no, not into the house, just, it comes up from my fence forward, it comes up about 30 feet, and it's about 6 inches deep every time. And so,
Is
I
this
mean,
only a certain time of the year? Is it right now in the spring, or do you see it in the winter?
anytime there's rain. Every time there's moisture, yeah. I mean, it was almost constant in the winter, and then
Where in Heights
with
did
this
the,
last rain, sorry.
where in Heights did the builder, didn't they build a ditch somewhere in Heights to help with this problem?
No ditch, nothing
Okay.
like that. We asked them, and then, we were actually the first ones to put our yard in to try and mitigate some of that. And then, they then actually brought in dirt to all the other neighbors and raised theirs, but it was still just the same clay dirt, and then.
Do you guys
now
all-
we all get a lot of water.
Do you guys all live in one spot together, or is it spread out through are you guys all spread out?
We're all within, we
Couple
almost
houses?
all touch each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
That helps.
We're one kind of block,
It's everywhere?
yeah. But, yeah. But yeah, and so, yeah, all of our yards
Okay.
almost all of ours are in, we still have the same concern. So I just wanted to address that, like, ours are in and we still have the flooding.
And to be clear, this is Heights and Village are both having this issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. What was your name one more time?
Adam,
Adam Stradling.
Adam. All right, thanks, Adam.
MJ, did,
Okay. Oh, MJ, do you have something to add? Yeah, come on up, so Camille can capture it.
We are in the minority that we haven't developed ours yet, but to address this drainage issue, we have worked out a solution, hopefully with our neighbors on our back lot, that we're sharing the cost of a drain, basically, to pump our water out to the street, out to the basin, because we have such significant flooding. We're the low point of all of our neighbors, and so I just mean, there's communication, and
Yeah.
we're trying to compromise with each other. But going to Councilmember Egbert's question, I did just want to say that with regard to teeth of how enforcement could be, obtained, I do know that builders and developers need to have a land disturbance permit. And I think that may be the place where we have teeth to enforce the law, is your revocation or review of their permit. And I'm happy to help with that again, but that may be just a good place to start with how they're disturbing the land and whether they're doing it in accordance with their permit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, MJ. All right, we'll get with Rob and the appropriate people and have those discussions and get back to you and have some meetings on site to get something worked out here. Thanks for coming and sharing your concerns. All right, let's go to item number 1. Is the only item in our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Beck and a second by Councilmember Jones.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
All right, item number 2 is an action item. It's consideration of a resolution adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2025 to 2026. Mr. Euler.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, keep in mind as we adopt a tentative budget, the point of what we want to do tonight is just make it available to the council and to the community. So tonight I just wanted to open it up to you if you had any questions for me, but mostly we want to take these next couple weeks to meet if you have questions and we can go through the tentative budget. Right now it is just a tentative budget. We are required to adopt the tentative budget just to have kind of a starting point. So that's what we're going to do tonight, and then our actual budget will be adopted. Tonight we need to, as part of the motion, set the public hearing for the adoption of the budget, for the public hearing for that item. So we'll open it to you, and then we'll work on the wording for.
Any questions on the tentative budget for now, or do you?
I just had a question. In past years, I think you provided a summary of where, like, new positions were being hired. I was trying to get that from reading the numbers and difference, last year's number with this year's.
Yeah, so when I send out the budget, the actual budget, I'll provide a budget overview. So it'll have all of that detail.
So it comes in the next meeting.
Okay, in the next meeting then.
Yeah.
And you'll have it before the next meeting, obviously, but yeah, when we adopt the final budget, I'll provide that. And that'll be sent out prior to the meeting in the staff report. But
Okay.
also we can meet before then at any point.
Right.
Now that we have the tentative budget out there, we can discuss that.
Sounds good.
Okay, any other questions?
Yep, I appreciate Bryce's time on all this as we sit through our budget review committee meetings.
Thank
It was
you.
a piece of
Appreciate
cake.
that.
It was a piece of cake, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Very detailed.
Here every year.
Appreciate all the effort that everybody put into it.
Our staff, we've got a lot, the department heads put a lot of effort into it, and it's quite helpful with that. So let's work on the wording of the resolution as consideration of a resolution to adopt the tentative budget for fiscal year 2025, 2026, and
Yeah, so
all.
we're hearing word that our next city council meeting, which is tentatively scheduled for the June 4th meeting, we're not going to have we're missing a few people. So we're proposing if we could move that to Wednesday, June the 11th. How does your schedules look?
I'll be out of town.
You're out of town on the 11th? Bryce, can we go clear to the 18th?
Absolutely, yeah. We can go to the 18th. It seems like there was another conflict on the 18th.
Is Casey the only one not going to be here? Because we can get his information beforehand. Will you be gone that week?
Yeah, we could do that. Did everybody,
I'm good. I'm not good on the 4th, but I'm good on all the other Wednesdays.
what if should we do that? Is
I'm okay
everybody
on
for the
either.
11th?
Let's do the 11th, and we'll give it Casey before he leaves town.
Make sure, yeah, proceed on with you. Okay. So to Bryce's point, then that motion would be for the June 11th.
So Camille, the wording is call, so this resolution then call, go ahead.
Call a public hearing for June 11th.
Okay.
Who wants to make the motion? I've got it right here if somebody wants to.
Make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2025-26 tentative budget and to set a public hearing for June 11, 2025, to adopt the fiscal year budget and, was that enough to put the date in there?
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay.
A second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jones, a second by Councilmember Egbert.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
All right, thanks, Bryce.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is just a discussion item. We've got the applicant here. Sean's not here this evening. He's out on family stuff, so we'll excuse him. And it's a discussion item to review development options for approximately 55 acres of land located approximately 200 west and 2800 south. Corey, do you want to give us a little rundown?
Well, Mayor and Council, in regards to this item, a couple of the talking points. There's two properties that will be in discussion. One is the Allen property, which is approximately 14.5 acres, and then the Twin Hollow development, which is approximately 40 acres. The parties have been working together in recent months to come up with a concept plan for a proposal of 61 lots. Based on the general plan designations, the plans would require 18 TDRs. There has been some questions in regards to how many TDRs are currently on the books, and that number is at 82 that are remaining. Just on a little more detail on that, 82, there's only 19 owners of those TDRs. So, for example, the largest ownership on those TDRs was 26, and then we have another one that owns 15, another one 10. Couple of sixes, and then a number of ones and twos. So it's basically we're dealing with 19 owners of these TDRs. Come on, if you can go to the next slide. Here's you get a feel for the area. Familiar with to the north is Triple Crown, and then you can see down south and Mapleton Village, and then Twin Hollow to the east as well. Mapleton Heights to the west side of that. Next slide. Get a feel for the general plan. Currently, as you can see in the green is rural residential, which is 2 acre minimum. Your purple is the 1 acre low density. The yellow there to the southeast and west is medium density residential with 3rd acre lots. Those crosshatch is just showing the encouragement of clustering conservation, which you've seen in some of the developments down in that area of town. Go to the next one. This is just to get a feel for the proposed concept that the developers have been discussing. Again, tonight, you're not here to get into the specifics of the concept. It's more pertaining to the question as far as the TDR topic. So with that said, we're kind of down to the two talking points. Would the council consider rezoning a property without needing TDRs? Or if not, would the council consider, in lieu of the TDRs, some sort of cash payment or a construction of park facilities? That's all I had. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Corey? Or any questions for the applicant? Do you guys want to add anything, Mike?
First of all, thank you, Mayor, council, staff. Some of you I don't know. I met Reed out in the hall, but my name's Mike Klauk, and my partners on this project are Andy and Dovey Ball, and then John and Ann Allen, and they're here. I've got a little statement I'll I'll just stick to this, and then if, whatever questions you have after that, we can go through that. We're pursuing the development of 61 lots on 56 acres. We average about 15% or higher open space in the proposed development. We would also provide conservation through clustering. We've spent 2 years trying to purchase TDRs with no success, and are now looking for alternatives so we can move forward with a well-planned development appropriate for the area. Our main goal and reason for being here is not to end up having 6 2-acre lots in the center of the subdivision and surrounding those surrounding lots that do not fit into the flow and design of the development adjacent. 2-acre lots are difficult to maintain and care for. They use excessive water, usually end up with uncared portions of the lot that end up as weed patches, storage areas, or small pastures that also do not blend well with the surrounding neighborhood and the theme of what we've got going. The small section of the 2-acre zone is a remnant of the land of the subdivision above and to the west. There is no connection to that upper development due to the steep topography, and this land was left over from the older development above. This 2-acre section of the Allens, in our opinion, should be zoned and developed together in unison with the surrounding land and existing neighborhoods. We are here to ask for your help and to offer our help by changing our property and the Allens property to the appropriate zone as determined by staff, and letting us contribute to Mapleton City funds to be used in this area or any other area of the city as deemed appropriate by you, the city council and staff. This is similar to other PD zones, cash contributions or in-like donations such as the water tank and infrastructure in the Mapleton Village development just to the east of us, which is part of our subdivision. The Twin Hollow and Hidden Hollow subdivisions are in that PD zone. This would be a win for the city, in our opinion. Its residents receiving the use, benefits, and enjoyments that the donated funds could create in the form of parks and amenities, parking lots, trail improvements, etc. This would also appeal to residents in this area that would enjoy the continuation of the adjacent current lot sizes in the Triple Crown and Twin Hollow developments, creating a nice buffer zone and transition into smaller and varied conservation clustered lots, as in the Hidden Hollow and Mapleton Village subdivisions that are adjacent. This would create a well-thought-out, beautiful subdivision fitting in harmoniously with the surrounding homes, development, topography, and would be a beautiful addition to Mapleton. Please help us make this well-thought-out development a reality by helping us find a path to move forward.
Who wants one of those silly 2+ acre lots anyway? You know what I mean? Especially in this area. Mike, you know?
I don't know anybody. I like 2-acre lots. There are places for 2-acre lots.
I'm just teasing you.
I know, I'm with you. But if you look at the surrounding subdivisions and the development that's going on and that is proposed, this one little segment that is left over in the 2-acre zone just really doesn't blend and fit well with what we're trying to do, and frankly, what I think would make the area really nice. We are proposing to take it down to 1-acre lots, and we've been working at this for over 2 years trying to procure enough TDRs to do this, and it's just not possible.
As we've seen, you won't get them at the price you're offering us.
No.
That's for sure.
No, and
it's crazy what's happened.
Yeah, because it hasn't been a couple of years ago that at the time we didn't need any, and we passed up what we needed at $25,000 a TDR.
Yeah.
My motto is never look back, right?
I say when I say offering us, I mean, You're offering us, me and you, since we
Yeah,
live here, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I do think that by doing this, if we were in a city, I mean, the TDRs are TDRs, we have them, they're here, it's part of life. If we were in a different city, you guys would have the ability to, hey, this doesn't make sense to have that little 2-acre piece zoned there, let's rezone it. But I get that it's hard to rezone. So as in these other developments, if we could, give you the money that we would spend on TDRs and let you enhance the city with it, I think it's a win-win.
Theron, based on your experience with planning commission and general plan and all this, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah,
What's your initial thoughts?
super tricky. I've been diving into this for the last week, and there's a whole, to me, it boils down to two things. The TDR system, the TDR program has been around for 25, 27, 28 years. The intent was to preserve the mountainside. The intent was to bring density down into the valley and not on the hillside. But what it's done along the way is set a precedence for density and the availability of doubling density using TDRs. And it's hard as city planners to say, well, there's still 82 out there. Why would we consider anything else? Despite the difficulty, obviously you're having a difficult time getting them. You need 18, is that what you said?
Yeah, we'd like 18.
Does 18 get this plan done?
18 gets this plan done. 8 would get the Allen's parcel to 1 acre
1 acre.
lots. 26 of the TDRs of those 80 are going to be used by Mapleton Village, which is Ken Murdoch, and those are spoken for, and those will be gone. We thought that we had some of those, but they're not available.
He's selling them with the land or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
he needs them to get what he has pre-approved.
Yeah.
I don't know, back to what I was trying to get to, the 2 points was the TDR whole subject is a big application to this. Then, let's say, I think we're all in agreement that we want to just close the chapter on TDRs for good. What does that look like? What's our exit strategy for TDRs? Is there any way we can close the book on that earlier than getting them all sold? I don't know. That's a subject for another time. But that subject being open, and the fact that it is lends itself to affecting your guys' timetable. But generally speaking, the general plan is very, very strong, very heavy worded against density. So this is a big ask for us to consider taking it, whether it's in kind or cash for density. You just can't skirt around that, and that's something that we've fought against for a lot of years, and a lot of us are sitting on the council because of this very reason. So it's a tricky, tough situation. I understand as a city planner, our job is to make sure that the city gets built to the type of city that we want, the flow of the city that we want, and the feel that we want. But the general public, the general plan says open space, fewer lots. So it's really a tough sell right now to say, yeah, we're gonna be okay with zone change and accepting in-kind or cash donations for a higher density. It's just, that's where I'm sitting right now, so it's a tough.
That helps. Anybody else have something on their mind?
To give a few thoughts, I do like 2-acre lots. My neighborhood's all zoned for 2-acre lots. But I think especially next to the trail, I would prefer to have larger lots. I like the open space when I bike along the trail. Just put my preference out there for 2-acre lots, but also open space along the trail. I do like use of the PRC and preserving open space, and so I like the concept plan and the open space that's around the trail. But just to echo Theron's point, with the general plan, that was, guidance given 5 years ago by the public to come in and look at these maps and paint with large brushes. We want this area to stay 2-acre lots and this area to be 1-acre lots. And I think we can, we can respect that. Also, that came out of the general plan is use of the TDRs and to encourage use of the TDRs, especially in large developments. So I guess I'm kind of thinking along the same way. It's a tough ask, but I do appreciate how cooperative you've been with council and staff.
Any other thoughts?
Go ahead, Reed.
Just going to mention, you said that people are unwilling, I guess, at the price. That is price, or is it, or they have to use it in the future?
So my opinion in my dealing with the TDRs is that people have the opinion that, hey, if they're worth X today, they were worth Y yesterday, they're worth X today, this is a fantastic investment. I'm going to hold this. I might even give it to my children.
Like a bond. They're like, yeah, it's bond money.
Stock certificate.
It is. And I don't blame them. I understand their philosophy.
Yeah.
But it really ties your guys' hands as a council to design and plan a city the way that you would like, and so I appreciate that. I would like to, I think there's a way, when I was talking to Sean, that if we turn it into I don't recall the exact zone. But
It's
maybe there's a
PRC.
PRC?
PRC, yeah.
So with the PRC, like Mapleton Village, where Twin Hollow and Hidden Hollow is, I know that a considerable amount of density was granted to them for their participation in paying for part of the water tank and the water infrastructure. And so I'm just wondering if there's some way that we can do this to where you guys feel like, hey, we didn't sell out the TDR owners, but we really have, provided
something.
an amenity. I mean, take the numbers.
Yeah.
18, could you guys use that money to help
Trust me, I got a list
a park?
I could use that money on.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have thoughts on, so staff recommended a price of 100,000 per extra lot that would increase the density. Did you have thoughts on that?
So my thoughts there are, as much as I would like to pay 25 or 30, like I could have two and a half years ago,
Don't look back, Mike.
I'm a
Don't look back.
realist. Don't look back. I appreciate that reminder. But I'm a realist, and I understand that that's not possible. 100 in a bulk sale, I think that's kind of that's on the upper end. So, would I be happy to pay 75? Absolutely. If it means that we can't move forward, would I pay 100, kicking and screaming? But I do want to get this development in, and it just doesn't make sense to me if you've been over there and you've kind of gone through it. And I have the advantage, I've looked at these plans, I've, spent hours with engineers designing and planning the right flows and lot sizes and clustering and open space. And so it just really doesn't make sense to plop 6 2-acre lots. And given the topography of where these 2-acre lots would lie, it narrows down due to the trail on the one side and a steep hill on the other. And so to make these 2-acre lots, I don't mind a 2-acre lot that's deeper that you can utilize. These 2-acre lots would have massive fronts. And so I know what will happen with those 2-acre lots. They'll build a home on one portion, and then, maybe they seek TDR, or not TDRs, but ADUs. But the reality is people just won't take care of that wide
Frontage.
of frontage.
I think, Mike, you make some really good points tonight, and I appreciate your comments. And you and I have spoken on the phone only once or twice. I'm Leslie Jones. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, I love
to
your
meet you.
parents.
Yeah, thank you. This is the first time I've met Mike in person, so, but thank you. I think you made some very good, logical, rational points, and I agree with many of them. My position on this one, and sometimes logic prevails and sometimes it doesn't always, but in this regard, the city created the TDR program. I think it makes sense. I mean, I think a lot of things are negotiable in this world, right? It doesn't feel right to me for the city to create a TDR program and then sell density essentially, certainly for a price lower than what the market rate is for TDRs. That doesn't feel right to me in this position. So am I open to a negotiation? Potentially, but candidly, my price for the benefit of the whole city would be probably a lot higher, to be honest.
And that's fair.
I think that you build a very nice subdivision. I think that it would be a great addition to the community. I would hope that we could, with some additional conversations, come up with a solution to allow this to move forward. I think your point about the 2-acre lots with the wide frontage, I think that is a legitimate thing to consider. And I think open space is great. Public open space is even better because it often gets maintained. And I think you make some really valid points that I hope we can bring into some ongoing conversations.
Yeah.
I'll echo, I think I'm exactly where you are. I don't think the issue is should this be a TDR receiving site or not, which makes this whole conversation really interesting because it's like, I think we're all cool with that intention, but I agree in principle, in a way, we are held hostage.
Yep.
But these are people who made an agreement with the city that I believe we are subject to honor, even though there was no expiration date on it. It's, you know this well enough, this is a difficult situation. So in principle, the principle of the things is I cannot sell density when I know there are 80 whatever TDRs out there. Would I be willing to say TDR receiving sites? Sure, done. Like that's not hard. If we can figure out the business angle, and we've all had lots of meetings on this one because it's a little weird. It's not just a regular one. I mean, we've had developers come in and want no TDRs and a zone change and and I don't blame people for business and wanting to spend the least amount to get them, like that's business. It's not a big deal. But this one is just an interesting scenario, and as we're trying to figure out how to wind down a TDR program, which I'm thankful for because of what the beautiful things it preserved for us. However, would I have created documentation a little differently? Probably. So I had asked, and I don't know, Corey, to what extent this is even possible. Corey and I talked earlier to say, okay, if we had some kind of affidavit from TDR owners that they were not going to sell, so we could say, okay, we aren't undermining TDR owners. Is that a thing? If we knew you had offered them $100,000 a piece and they still denied, would the city take 100? Is there something there? Maybe. I'm not ready to say I won't entertain this. I still think there's some potential business solutions that address the principle of the thing while simultaneously building a great project. So I would say there's probably more work for you guys to do as you're sharpening your pencils. I kind of hate saying go back to the people in TDRs because of course I want the city to get a beautiful project out of it, but I have to honor the commitment that the city made before I was even involved in the council. So if you can find a way to get that business angle, and maybe it's a partnership to say let's do diligence on all this, maybe there's an opportunity here. I'm certainly not one who's going to say nope, this isn't an option. I also think there's got to be something we can do to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Just so you guys know, we have called every person on the list, and we have talked to all of those people. And Ken Murdoch, I thought we had a deal, but what happened there is he misunderstood how many he had. And so he was joyfully thinking he had more than he did. And then when we did the research, he just didn't have it. And so that's what's frustrating for us is we've spent 2 years trying to do that. And I totally appreciate where you guys are. I don't know what the solution is, and like you said, it's probably meant for another meeting, but how do you wind down the TDR program? Is there a buyout? Does the city at some point say, hey, look, we're going to abolish the TDR program and we're going to pay everyone that has one X?
We talked
On
about
this date,
legal,
you have until that time to sell it.
there is a
Yeah.
legal interpretation opportunity we've talked about too, because there's got to be some way to sunset the situation. There's too many left. However, at this point, it does become a private transaction. So there's a private business thing, there's a city thing. It's a little tricky, and so I think this has got to go legal to figure that out. That would not happen in the timeline you would be interested in. And I appreciate that you've talked to all these people, just like I imagine you appreciate that we're elected from citizens and we have to trust but verify. So for me, it'd be a member of the staff saying, okay, are you intending to sell, and get, if I had an affidavit fundamentally from these 19 owners that said, we have zero intentions of selling, and gave us, some summary of their intentions, then maybe I'd be more likely to consider. It's not a guarantee, because we still, from my understanding with the TDR program, we are obligated to provide opportunities for TDR owners to use their TDRs, right? It's tricky. So there's definitely, it's a great case example for us to dig into it and figure out long-term how to handle TDRs, frankly.
Sorry, where this is a discussion, I just lost my train of thought.
I'll
Was it
say
good?
something and maybe trigger it.
Go ahead.
So as I've thought through this, the only thing I try to do is say, and I'd ask you the same thing, Mike, if you or I were in the situation where we both had 20 TDRs and the city essentially sells the density without TDRs for whatever price they want, I think me and you'd be down the doorstep of the city about 2 seconds saying, hold on a second. So I think maybe what Jessica's saying makes some sense. And in the discussions we've had as we've neared this, and when I, 7 years ago when I came in here, I mean, the amount of hooting and hollering about TDRs, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people were down my throat, like, this is the dumbest thing ever, and this got to go away, and you're ruining Mapleton, and blah, blah, blah. We've heard it all, right? So Spanish Fork has been entertaining a TDR option the last 2 years, and so I've been advising them. They've been having us, so they say, hey, here's where we want to do it, and because they want to do the river bottoms, and here's where we're going to apply the density, and what issues do you guys see? And I start laughing out loud, because I'm like, you guys will never cover every piece you're not going to uncover today. That 30 years you will. And so they've gone back and forth with it. They've taken it to council. It's come back. Whether they'll get it done or not, who knows? But it is tricky from that perspective, because especially the shoes you and I sit in, if the city offered that, we'd be trying to figure out, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Don't you dare offer them anything until, So it is tricky from that standpoint, because, it's an asset that people have purchased for whatever reason, like you said, right? It's from every which way. They want to give it to their kids, or they think one day it's worth $1 million, which you and I both know is silly thinking. There comes a point where the cost of the TDR isn't worth it. You're not going to sell the lot for that, blah, blah, blah. There's mathematics there that it just doesn't work, right? And some people you won't convince that of, as you know, we won't. And so they'll just do what they do with them at some point in the future. But in order to close it out, and the idea is when it gets either fewer quantity or fewer owners of TDRs, which is where we're getting now. We're getting a lot fewer owners of the TDRs. It may be time to wrap something like that up. Now, with that being said, I am all about, I sit in these meetings and we need money. I'm trying to negotiate some land deals right now. We're trying to negotiate some stuff the city needs, and we could use money. So I don't want to just say, no, get out of here, this isn't going to work, And like you said, those guys got density for building the water tanks, and they did some concessions for them. And you can name it buying the density, or you could name it, infrastructure for the density, whatever you want to call it. And at the end, it's the same thing. And on the piece down south that Edge is doing now, the whole annexation fee got turned into a sewer treatment plant fee that was due by a certain date, didn't come due. So what did I get to do? I got to renegotiate it with them. And it was a great deal for us. It was a terrible deal the city made 20 years ago, but now it's a great deal, right? And so I'm all about that. We just got to do it the right way.
So-
And I don't know what that answer is. I don't know what it looks like. I've got some more discussions to have with Sean, and
Mayor, do you
And
know
our
how
council.
many individual owners there are? There's 82 outstanding.
we scrolled through it. There's probably, what,
TDRs.
30 maybe?
No, 19.
Oh, there's
19?
19
Yeah.
individual owners?
19 individuals, and one of those that has the 26, his will be gone.
There's another one
Toll
that's got a big
Brothers or-
chunk, too.
Oh,
We
so
got
we're
a
talking about a small.
26 and a 15
Oh, wow.
and a 10 and then a
I
couple
know,
of sixes.
I know some of those individuals and have had some discussions with them in preparation of us trying to resolve this and close the books on TDRs.
Okay, so this is
Maybe there's a
small number
middle of the
of
road solution where.
That's what I would like to try to figure out is, this is a discussion, but let's see if there is a way. It's happened in the past. Mapleton Village was able to contribute to that water tank. I think it was to the tune of a couple of $1 million. Edge, has done a little bit.
Harmony Ridge. I just sat in a room, in this room, with 100 homeowners who are ready to eat my lunch. So I'm not opposed to having a meeting with those 19 and, us start having discussions and see if,
I think it's worth having.
Yeah, the what
I
ifs.
I would agree. I think we
but
need,
we can't do it without that.
I think they need to be at least part of the conversation,
I agree
I
with
think.
that.
But we need to close this TDR thing out as
I would like to know if,
quickly as we can.
if there's a legal recourse for us to have any kind of sunsetting or moratorium on the program. I
Sure.
mean, if it's been around X decades, is there,
Well, there comes a point where they're cost prohibitive, and so the fact that, take a Colin Allen that's got that piece, north of you, off the hill, and let's say he's got 12 TDRs, and he wants his kids to have them for them to develop in the future. Well, more than likely, when the kids get it, they want money most of the time. And so, when generations move on, then things change. And so I would be curious if we got those people in a room and said, okay, how many of you are planning on holding them to develop your own property? That's one thing. How many of you are waiting to go for $1 million a piece, right? And how many of you are ready to sell them at a certain price? And start to get an understanding of where we are with them, because some people
And how many
just
of
may
them are
say-
willing to sign a document to
Yeah,
that?
some may say, well, I'm holding them because I got 20 acres up by Mike that I'm going to develop one day and I need them. Okay, great. They're not for sale.
Which I helped Colin Allen and his kids
Do the 1 acre, yeah.
do all the design and everything, and I broke a lot off for his daughter built her a house. And I know for a fact, I was with them 2 days ago, and they have 6, think they have 7, but those are going to be used on that.
And that's what we need to,
35
I'm
acres.
sure that there's processes like that we have to go through to make certain that we've covered our basis.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we could say, okay, now that we've covered our basis legally and the city's protected, let's make a deal, or let's figure out what deal, if there is a deal to be made.
So we can treat all parties fairly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is discussion, so I'm completely just spitballing it, but certainly we'll have to have more discussions with legal in the room and more study on 30-year-old, it's 95, I think the TDRs went in, so it's 99,
99.
24 years, yeah, 26 years, so.
So I appreciate, the fact that you're even talking to us, and if there's anything, I mean, we'll do anything we can to help. I don't know what that is.
Well, I will say, in the past, we've had issues at Twin Hollow and other places. Mike's been great to work with, so appreciate you being willing to maneuver and help and work, with us and other landowners to get things done, so.
What would be, Corey or Mayor, what would be our next step from this meeting? I mean, I think clearly we have to have other conversations with other groups. What would be the next step?
I think we got to get, who's our attorney?
Legal.
Eric?
Eric.
Yep.
Get Eric in a room, and then there's one other person I want to get in the room who's an attorney who has a lot of experience in this, and start the discussions and say, there's 19 individuals we're dealing with, not 86. There's 86 TDRs, but we don't care about that. There's 19 individuals we're dealing with, and start that process. And I really don't think it actually could take that long if we got the legal perspective on it, because if we get them in a room, I can talk to them in a room. We just need to understand
Just
what
need
our
to
basis is.
know what the guardrails
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
We've heard scuttlebutt that the city has some.
No,
That's, they don't have.
I was wrong.
Yeah, if we owned them, we'd
Wrong
make it a big deal.
scuttlebutt.
No.
We can just
It
reason.
was true, they had them, but they got them the wrong way, so they got shredded, in my opinion. So anyway,
Okay,
yeah.
no worries.
Yeah, they were tied to where the school is at now,
Yeah,
but.
Maple
that-
Grove.
Yeah, but the mayor's correct. They're no longer part of the.
So, I think I've said all I have to say.
it's great. It's
Um,
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I'm all about getting a deal done, and I think we are too, as
We have
long
money.
as
Let's,
we get that part figured out, and that part's vital, you know?
we'd like to help.
As you know.
Yes.
It would make me feel good, you know, I would rather give, honestly, the city the money that could then be used, and I could see it.
That makes,
Hey, I went into
that makes both of us. I could use that money tomorrow, so trust me.
Clock Park.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Right.
selling it to the individual.
Before the end of the night, Reed.
And then, I'm done with what I have to say. I don't know if you guys are still open, if any of
Andy,
my
do you have something you still want
partners-
to add? Yeah, let Andy add what he's got there.
But, hey,
Thanks,
thank
Mike.
you, guys.
Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
I just have like my 2 cents. I've had some good discussions with Theron. We're both engineers, so it's a problem, right? That you're just used to solving problems. We want to create the subdivision down there and just keep it kind of the same thing. You know, like Triple Crown is 1 acre. It was done, I don't know what, 30 years ago when TDRs were $5,000 or something. I had the preserve under contract for 1 year. I had it approved at 1 acre lots. I had a deal with Mapleton Village, Ken Murdoch, for 77 TDRs, 20-ish thousand. A year or two later, we had the person that was helping Ken Murdoch offered I can't remember if it's 20 or a large number of TDRs for 25,000 apiece. Recently, we've talked to every single person. Most of them are holding them. We had somebody, okay, I'll sell it for 160. And we're like, we're going to wait a little bit, and he came back at 77. But we were right in the middle of negotiating with Ken Murdoch, and we had that deal for roughly same price, 75-ish thousand. But he didn't have them for some reason. He had done his math wrong. And so what you're seeing is like, there's a huge amount in that one location with Ken Murdoch, and he's going to use them on his property. So those are basically all tied to that spot. My point is that, like after we were approached by Twin Hall, I know Dallas, you bought a handful, and what's the guy that Carter,
Tom,
Tom?
and so did,
So how many does Tom have?
I don't think Tom has any. I have 2, but I can't sell them because I need
There's
them.
not that many.
No.
But you have, so if we approached you and said, Dallas, you have 2 TDRs, where are you going to use them?
Yeah.
And you use them right on your property.
Yeah.
Like, I was here a while ago and Casey was talking to the Walpoles about, he had to recuse himself, and then the Walpoles had what I viewed as a perfect use of a TDR. Corner lot, multiple access, 1 acre net result. So my point is, there has to be an analytics done on this whole thing. You have to take like we have 40 acres we bought, general plan, but nothing else. Does that make sense? So we could ask for a TDR receiving, we didn't do anything tonight as far as like the Allen's property. I'd submit that we at least should propose that it becomes a TDR receiving. Is it TDR receiving now?
No, it's
No.
just
The
an
lower
HU's
lot
phone,
is-
but
It would have to be on the,
Big ask.
it'd have to be on the agenda to call for that, though.
Okay,
You just tell Sean you want to put it on the agenda, he'll put it on there.
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a public hearing item, so it's got to go through the notice. But he knows all that. You just, if that's the route you guys want to go, you just tell him.
So in 1999, a bunch of smart people in city council got together and created the TDR program. Right?
They saw this day. I'm sure they sat there and said, one day, Mike's going to come to the pulpit
But what was the
and say, I will pay for these.
Yeah, but what was the goal? You guys, the city council, what was the goal? It's to keep everybody but Gibby off the hill, right?
Yeah.
There's certain people it didn't work, but everybody else it did. And so the goal is accomplished, right? And to slow the growth. Right now, your position has to be as smart people, right? That's why you're elected, to establish,
That's
to
nice of you.
establish the sunset.
Yeah,
There's a
sure.
sunrise and there's a
Sure,
sunset.
sure.
So
Yep.
what Theron and I talked about was basically like, you establish all the open space that doesn't have a development tied onto it. Establish how many TDRs there are. You know, just like the Allen's property, how many, they have 14? 6? Well, not the Allens, what's the other Allen?
oh, Colin?
Colin.
20. No, so you have 20?
No, yeah, it's not.
7 TDRs on 20 acres, 20 acres? 35 acres.
So,
Yeah, sure.
yeah. And if somebody, like, some of the people that we talk to don't have any kind of land, that they just bought one. If they don't have the land, why,
Yeah, that's, Andy, you're saying what we said earlier. We have to, I agree with you. There's going to have to be a sunset, and we're going to have to get to work and figure out what that
The other
is.
things, I talked with Logan, there's the Myers/Evans Park. What's the name of it?
That's it?
Evans Park, but it's Myers property right now, has a 3-year
Time clock.
time clock. $1.5 million will go,
I got
We could
stuff
just
that's
ram that
got a
thing through.
1-year time clock we can use it on. Trust me, using the money is not the issue.
Yep.
It's just, we just have to solve this one thing.
I
And-
think
There's an appetite for some negotiation, but it's premature today to do
Yep.
that. We've got to get some other pieces of information
Yep.
before we can actually have that conversation in good faith to execute, so everybody's treated
Yeah,
fairly.
this is all great stuff.
Yep.
Anything that we can do to help Ann brought up, can we start, like, would it help to call and document?
I don't think, your notes might help, but I think that the first thing that we're going to have to do is get legal in the room and trap them in there and say, all right, tear this thing apart and tell us what our options are to protect the city. That's it. Once you give us those options, we can go to town. But I need to understand better what those are from the day it was written. And then I'm sure, I'm pretty optimistic all the time. I'm sure there's a solution. We just got to get there for it. How long that will take, I don't know. If we got after it, maybe a couple weeks, a month, to determine that, yeah.
yeah.
And then whatever notes you have on
Yeah.
conversations you've had, at that point, when we start saying, okay, we're gonna call a meeting, or we're gonna bring everybody together, or send a notice, or whatever the next step is, those notes certainly may help.
Yeah, and I think April has like the most
Sean's got a real good list, yeah,
updated
Yeah.
TDR list.
yeah.
I want to
And
be clear, I apologize, you're still talking.
You're fine.
I wanted to be clear on the record that it isn't this development proposal and to support a particular developer that is stimulating an assessment of the TDR program. This is long overdue.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So.
Which is
it-
something we've been talking about for
Yes.
years.
So I just want to be very clear, in case it comes
Yeah.
up, because it will, that we have long overdue needed to understand the implications of the TDR program and how to sunset it, and it just happens to coincide with the timing of this proposal, so.
Right.
just for the
I
record.
agree with
Yeah.
that.
I'm glad you stated that, that's clear.
We have a little bit of history of changing the TDR program by the
Yeah.
reduction we did a few years ago.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
think years ago, when the city had a problem with the toxic water coming from Ensign Bickford, and
they found clean, pure water in the middle of Mapleton Village. Mapleton Village got a windfall of TDRs, whatever they needed to get that water. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's exactly what happened,
I don't know.
but the same thing with whatever down the Mapleton, what's it?
Heights.
Harmony Ridge.
Oh,
Harmony
Yeah,
Ridge.
they did some work on
That one
water
was-
lines in behalf and for exchange. They did some, they made an agreement essentially, yeah.
Yep. So essentially what we're trying to do is make an agreement.
Sure.
Helps you guys, helps
Makes
the
sense.
city. Like you said, you have no problem spending money.
No,
You have needs and we're trying to help, you
Yeah.
know, so we can get stuff.
Yeah, and we'll look forward to, from Corey for an
Yeah.
update from getting the attorney on his availability and coordinating that
Yep.
meeting with the mayor, and that would be our next step.
I
we're
mean,
on it.
Yep, let's.
We're on
It's
it.
neither, it's probably of no value, but like, my neighbor Jim Lundberg was on council for quite a long time, and his opinion was that mass amounts of TDRs weren't intended for bigger developments. And where this is like a 55-ish acre development, it should have the ability to just get zoned in correctly.
We're on
I
it.
mean, that's all, we're just talking now, but
Yeah.
I think you guys got the
we got it.
idea. Any other questions?
Thanks for your calm presentation versus some other ones we get, you know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very much appreciated.
Appreciate it. Now, thanks, Andy.
Can I just complain too, since I missed that section?
No, yes, I am for next meeting for the, you missed it. We do not taking complaints now.
But it's something that would help the city. On 1600 South and Main Street, right? There's what I see is a massive need for a turnabout, a roundabout. I mean, Spanish Fork's putting them in the middle of like a simple street.
The sidewalk.
Spanish Fork had a city engineer that came on named Michael Clark for about 3 years, and
Everything was
he loved
roundabout.
roundabouts, and so they started putting them everywhere. Now the new city engineer doesn't like them so much.
And they're
Go
expensive.
figure, right? But
But my point
that's
there,
a UDOT road, by the way.
I know.
And we've been negotiating with them for about 4 years now, and we're not going to take those roads until they fulfill some things. So they're going to do what they do with that until that time, but we're not taking on their
But
crap, so.
we agree with you, and to the point
Yeah.
that we actually worked with a group at BYU to actually do
Yeah.
a roundabout study
They
at
said,
that
they
very
said
place,
that
so,
the city engineer said that they'd done that.
yeah.
But my point is, from that point, there's a kind of a triangle there. So it's just wide open for
Sure.
a roundabout. And I own the property right next to it, and I had it staked to where the roof, and then
So you'll just donate the
We're
property?
going to say, state on record.
The roundabout?
yeah,
Okay.
not the whole, I mean,
You won't donate for the whole thing?
The whole
the
roundabout.
point, what you can do is go down, I mean, it's the Mapleton, what I view as the Mapleton MO.
Yeah.
You've got like a wide road, and then you got a narrow road, and you got a wide road, narrow road. But you see little kids running their stand-up scooters on this much pavement, and the car's going past them like 35 miles an hour. It's not going to end well.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not it should be a priority.
Yep.
So that's my complaining. And my lot is draining just fine.
I got an idea. I got an idea. If you guys give us 10 million for those TDRs, we could probably fix 1600 South and Main, and
Maple-
probably a lot of
Maple.
these other complaints.
Maple.
Are they
Everybody's
staked
got a
main? Are
price.
you guys changing the sidewalks there?
Dallas's price is 10 million.
Thanks, guys.
right.
Appreciate it. Okay, Logan, you got something for us? All right. Bryce? All right. Reed?
I'm fine.
All right. Jessica?
We had Legislative Policy Committee today, and there's some things coming up, but
Let's do it.
nothing filed, so, you know.
Okay. Great.
Nothing for me.
Hey, Casey,
Nope, no report.
Aaron,
Nothing for me either.
Mel, Corey. Wow. You guys just witnessed the fastest
that a
closing in
record
history.
since I've been
All
here?
right,
That
we'll
was
look
a
for a motion to
record.
close the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, and I.
All right.
Aye. Garrett, yes.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.